Las Vegas is famous for its ability to constantly reinvent itself, from a gambling town in the desert to the entertainment capital of the world and now the sports capital. But that evolution is perhaps gradually veering off course, as it's heading in a direction that puts thousands of local residents at risk of losing their jobs. In 2025, the biggest threat to workers will no longer be recession or the absence of tourists. It takes the form of machines, algorithms, and AI systems that are rapidly replacing receptionists, servers, waiters, and even security and basic operational personnel. And as technology advances, many of those people are left behind, sometimes literally. More and more people are moving into RVs, parking on the outskirts of the city, right under the lights they once served. A city that once thrived because of people now seems to be entering an era where humans are becoming secondary. In this video, we will explore how failing technology, economics, and policies are pushing 92,000 workers who were once proud of their stable careers into an uncertain future. Will the situation in Vegas become a microcosm for the entire United States? Let's find the answer together in the next 20 minutes. Technology has long been seen as a tool to support humanity toward a more efficient and prosperous future. But in Las Vegas today, what was once just a secondary lever is becoming the factor pushing thousands of workers to the margins. Over the past few months, casinos and resorts on the Strip have stopped large-scale layoffs like they used to. Instead, they quietly cut back piece by piece in a way that insiders described as dismantling a machine from the inside. The image of the robot bartender Adam is the clearest example of this shift. Adam is presented as a tool to help humans work more efficiently, not to replace them. But along with the rapid development of automation and AI, a report by RCG Economics reveals a different reality. 80–95% of hospitality industry jobs are at risk of being affected between now and the end of next year. The impact has begun to appear on a specific scale. MGM eliminated all concierge desks at 6 major hotels. MGM Grand, Park MGM, New York, The Signature, Mandalay Bay, and Vdara, immediately laying off 34 employees, some of whom had been with the company for decades. Another report from Nevada continues to warn that 77,000 to 92,000 jobs could be affected between 2024 and 2026, particularly in frontline positions such as receptionists, internal accountants, housekeeping coordinators, and food service staff. According to an economic expert in Las Vegas, the current rate of change is much faster than in previous years, making over 300,000 hospitality workers feel at risk, even if they still have enough hours. Some positions haven't been immediately replaced by AI, but businesses are quietly freezing hiring, reducing shifts, or switching to temporary contracts, making career paths increasingly narrow like the sealed neck of a bottle. While businesses talk about operational optimization and meeting customer needs, the RCG report points out the financial burden they are trying to alleviate. Last July, resorts paid $17.8 billion in wages and $1.5 billion for health benefits, an average of $4,800 per employee just for health insurance, while robots work 24/7 and don't call in sick. From a leadership perspective, that's a reasonable option. But from the workers' perspective, many said they only received a brief email notifying them of contract termination with no in-person meeting or explanation. From late 2024 to mid-2025, Las Vegas is seeing multiple rounds of streamlining at the mid-management level. MGM alone laid off 800 managers, citing anticipated low business volumes, without any plans to rehire them. For many workers, everything that's happening feels like a silent purge. No announcement, no debate, but so regularly that every morning when they woke up, they wondered if today would be the day their names disappeared from the system. However, the problem isn't just that thousands of people are losing their livelihoods, but also, will Las Vegas realize that AI can never be a copy of humans? Technology can support productivity, optimize costs, and process work faster, but replicating the subtlety, observation, and human connection that are the pillars of the tourism industry is still a long way off. And if you've ever called a call center and encountered a chatbot, you'll understand that experience is never the same as talking to a real person. In the end, you still have to request to be transferred to a real person. That is the biggest risk Vegas is facing. A city that lives on services, on emotions, on making every guest feel welcome, is now trying its luck by replacing people with machines. It's a gamble, and no one can say for sure what this direction will lead to. Especially in the context of fewer tourists, casinos are forced to cut costs, and revenue has been declining for months. Perhaps in this round of the game, the house no longer holds the winning hand. From a tool designed to help humans work better, AI has now become a factor that can cause someone with a stable income to become homeless in just 1 week. For many hotel employees in Las Vegas, losing their jobs is not just about losing their pay. This led to the loss of health insurance, one of the last safety nets that helped them cope with the city's rising cost of living. When income disappears but essential expenses remain, they simply can no longer afford to stay in the very place they used to work. A long-time employee said the layoffs happened just as people's unemployment benefits were cut off, leaving them immediately at a dead end. With no more support to rely on and no options left to postpone, they were forced to shrink their entire lives into an old RV they bought from an acquaintance, the last resort to avoid sleeping on the streets. Many people are leaving the industry not just because they were laid off, but because the environment has become too unstable and they no longer feel a minimum sense of security. Just a small fluctuation in the economy or in the operations of casinos, and they could lose everything after a few minutes of an internal meeting. There are people who have served for over 20 years, waiting tables, serving cocktails, working security, guarding the lobby. But after a layoff announcement, they lost both their income and benefits network, forcing them to seek out parking lots on the outskirts of the city, to set up RVs and drastically cut living expenses. This isn't a choice, it's the only remaining means of survival. The dealers who remembered regular customers, the service staff who smiled every night, the people who kept the hotel running 24/7. Now they have to live in old cars parked just a few minutes' drive from the strip. An anonymous employee called it the bitterest irony. They used to make visitors feel welcome under the bright lights, but now they themselves live on the fringes of that light. For many, everything that's happening is a slap in the face. When they lose their jobs, they don't just lose income. They also lose insurance, benefits, and the stability they've spent their lives building. And when those safety nets disappeared all at once, they were pushed away from the very profession they had faithfully served for years. Not because they were incompetent, but because the city they had called home no longer had a place for them. In most recent layoff announcements, companies have cited AI as an inevitable cause, as if technology has become a new wave forcing them to change. But according to experts, this is only partially true. They believe that replacing humans with AI is not easy, not cheap, and certainly not as simple as it is being portrayed. Automation systems cannot be deployed overnight, and even less can they immediately take on complex tasks that rely on human experience and judgment. That's why many analysts believe that most of the recent layoffs didn't stem from AI actually being capable of doing those jobs, but rather because businesses needed an explanation that was appropriate for the times. When revenue declines, demand weakens, or the organization becomes bloated. Labeling downsizing decisions as AI becomes a way to avoid difficult questions from employees and investors. One economist even stated bluntly that no company has laid off 10,000 people and replaced them with a computer, not even in 2025. Some surveys also show that many strategies labeled AI-driven are actually just downsizing or restructuring processes to cope with difficult business conditions. One expert calls this phenomenon AI washing, when businesses use AI as a smokescreen to hide real problems: declining revenue, rising costs, and pressure to cut expenses from shareholders. Even Meta, one of the companies investing most heavily in AI, laid off 600 employees within its AI division itself, citing the division's excessive bloat. This shows that the problem isn't that AI is too powerful, but that businesses can no longer afford to maintain a cumbersome bureaucracy. However, the fact that companies constantly mention AI in their layoff announcements leads to another consequence. Many people believe that AI is truly replacing humans. But if you look at the evidence, most experts agree that this is still a long way off, and the real reasons often lie in much older factors: cost, revenue, and management mistakes. When people think of Las Vegas, they often envision long lines of cars on Las Vegas Boulevard, crowded halls, and the constant ringing of slot machines. But the data from 2025 paints a completely different picture, one that businesses probably wouldn't want to hang on the front of the Strip. In the first 6 months of the year, the number of visitors to Vegas decreased by 7.3% compared to 2024. In July alone, the decrease reached 12%, from 3.5 million visitors to only about 3.1 million. For a city almost entirely dependent on seasonal tourism, these numbers are like a constant flashing red alert. The occupancy rate, which is the most important metric in the hotel industry, also saw a significant decline. In June, Vegas saw a 14.9% decrease. By the week ending July 5th, the decline continued to be 16.8%, pushing the occupancy rate in the Strip area down to just 79.5%. For a market once considered stable despite the cycle, falling below 80% is very rare. It shows that not only are there fewer guests, but the demand for spending on accommodation services is also being alarmingly suppressed. Revenue per available room, another key metric, continues to reflect this situation. In the first few weeks of July, this index decreased by as much as 28.7%, remaining just over 27 per room. For a city that operates on the model of full rooms to get guests to spend money at the casinos, a nearly 30% drop is a major blow to the entire business structure. A casino manager shared that customer numbers are down, they come with smaller budgets, and they spend less. This isn't a sentimental observation, but a reflection of reality. Those who are still coming to Vegas are tightening their belts, not staying as long as before, and not spending as much as in previous years. This completely changes the entire operation of the casino. From the number of staff on the floor and the number of tables open, to even the setup time for each shift. This decline isn't just happening on the Strip. Many casinos report that gaming revenue has decreased in 6 out of the last 7 months, and downtown Vegas also saw a decline in 4 out of 6 months. When downtown, which typically has a more stable customer base and lower costs, also declines, it suggests the problem isn't limited to a single casino or specific area. It's a simultaneous contraction across the entire market, a sign of weakening in the city's core tourism economy. And when revenue decreases, the entire system begins to react in a chain. Customer numbers decrease, revenue decreases, the business cuts staff, service quality declines, even more customers decrease. A downward spiral where each knot pulls the next knot along. In the service industry, where human experience is an irreplaceable factor, such a chain of decline is very difficult to reverse quickly. It's noteworthy that this decline isn't just measured in numbers. It's also measured by the perceptions of local residents, employees, and those who have worked in the industry for decades. They say Vegas is losing something of an intangible value, something many people still call the city's soul. When the hotel lobby is empty, when guests no longer linger to chat with the bartender, when the pit boss no longer recognizes regular customers, Vegas not only loses customers, but also loses the invisible connection that once made this city special. And if Vegas's operating model continues to be squeezed by declining revenue, by cost cutting, by automation forced into every nook and cranny, what will Vegas become when it no longer has the people who make it? As a wave of layoffs swept through the industry, many described the most painful aspect not just as the decision to let people go, but the feeling that the company only cared about profits. A veteran employee frankly stated that corporations always manage labor costs, but the way they're doing it during this period makes people understand that people are no longer a priority. All adjustments revolve around reducing costs first, while the service experience, which is the foundation of Las Vegas, is relegated to a secondary concern. This is clearly reflected in the changes happening throughout the Strip. Resorts are cutting staff but still raising room rates, increasing parking fees, and implementing cocktail tracking systems to limit free drinks. For many workers, this is a sign that Vegas is becoming soulless, as even small perks for guests are being brought into the control system, just as the city's reputation for generosity is being eroded. That indifference is most evident in casinos, where the pit boss once had decision-making power based on experience, from understanding player psychology to comping rooms, meals, or assisting regular customers. That role is now replaced by profit-calculating algorithms. A position that was once a symbol of human sophistication and judgment is now disempowered as decisions are transferred to automated systems. Traditional concierge networks, those capable of handling any request from show tickets to sold-out restaurants, are also not immune to this trend. The entire concierge service was consolidated into 2 large coordination centers, eliminating almost all concierge staff at the hotels. For long-time visitors, this is a significant loss because the concierge used to be an integral part of the cared-for experience. In the slot machine industry, some employees say the new machine system is optimized for spending money faster, reducing the number of machine types and lowering payouts. This makes many players feel they are not treated as guests seeking entertainment, but as a source of revenue being drained penny by penny, according to the algorithm's design. A series of such decisions increases the gap between businesses and workers. When all adjustments are aimed at reducing labor costs, the inherent cohesion begins to crack. The employees, who once prided themselves on being part of the soul of Vegas, now feel like they are just a number on a spreadsheet. No one needs to declare it. Corporate greed is evident in every small cut. One less position, one right withdrawn, one traditional service reduced. But it's those small changes that are distorting the entire service DNA of Vegas, the very thing that once made the city legendary. In comments from American citizens and international visitors, skepticism is the most frequently expressed emotion. Many people don't believe the AI is taking jobs, explanation given by businesses. They argue that AI is being used as a smokescreen to cover up poor management decisions, unsustainable business strategies, and financial pressures that corporations don't want to acknowledge. For them, the problem wasn't with the machinery, but with the fact that the company chose to blame technology to avoid responsibility. Many visitors who used to be regulars in Vegas say the city today is no longer the city they once knew. What kept them coming back every year, the welcome, the personalization, the feeling of being valued, seem to have disappeared. Vegas isn't what it used to be, they say, not because the lights have dimmed, but because the people behind those services are gone. A segment of Americans reflect that Vegas is becoming too expensive and too cold. The free cocktails, increased service fees, and parking charges have made what was supposed to be a relaxing experience feel heavy and unfriendly. Many older people particularly emphasize that they miss the days when dealers knew the names of regular customers, bartenders knew your favorite drinks, and hosts had decision-making authority without needing permission from the system. That's the Vegas quality they believe machines can't replicate. Some comments suggest that Vegas is now optimally insensitive. The optimization of the algorithm makes many people no longer want to try their luck, as they feel they are playing in an environment designed to take every penny from them rather than help them enjoy the experience. When employees are cut, service is slower, less flexible, and lacks the generosity once considered the hallmark of Las Vegas. Among all those responses, the four most frequently mentioned emotions were regret, anger, disappointment, and a lingering fear that this economy is gradually losing its place for the working class, the people who once formed the soul of the city. They feel Las Vegas is drifting away from its true essence. A place built by people who know how to make visitors feel special. And if these feelings continue to spread, what Vegas loses might not just be tourists, but the trust of those who once saw it as a destination for emotion, memories, and connection. As more businesses in Las Vegas continue to eliminate human workers from positions that once defined the city's identity, many experts and long-time employees are beginning to worry that more than just jobs are being lost. They believe Vegas is losing the very element that makes it unique. The connection and special feeling that people bring to every experience, from the bar to the casino, from the front desk to small interactions with service staff. The changes happened silently. Slot machines were standardized by algorithm. Cocktails were only served when the monitoring system confirmed sufficient betting, and many services that were once the strengths of individual hotels were centralized in remote call centers. When experiences are optimized according to a pre-existing system, Vegas becomes like any other tourist destination, losing the uniqueness that once brought visitors back not just for entertainment, but to feel an energy they couldn't find anywhere else. Workers with decades of experience being removed from the system also take with them a wealth of invaluable knowledge that no algorithm can replace. A long-time employee once said that there are skills not found in the training manual, like how to read a customer's mood through their eyes, how to know when they need quiet and when they need a short conversation. It's the small details that make Vegas so refined, and the things that machines can't replicate. If the trend of cuts and automation continues, Vegas could become a place of dazzling lights, but lacking the emotional depth that older visitors once sought. Those who experienced the city's golden age say Vegas is gradually losing what made it special. The feeling of being welcomed, recognized, and connected to the real people behind the service. Many people wonder if an emotion-based city can survive when it disregards the very people who create those emotions. As revenue declines and cost pressures increase, relying too heavily on automation could cause Vegas to cut into its unique advantage that no other place in the world can replicate: its soul. And if that soul is replaced by an algorithm, will anyone want to return to a city that has lost itself? Las Vegas was once a place where every person, from dealers, bartenders, and concierges to security guards, contributed to an energy that's hard to describe. But as technology advances and humans are left behind, that city seems to lose not only its workforce, but also a part of itself. Suburban RV parks, increasingly unmanned hotel lobbies, and algorithm-driven casinos all raise a question larger than whether something is lost or retained. Can a city built on emotion survive when those who create those emotions no longer have a place? Can technology save Vegas, or will it make the city just like any other tourist destination, dazzling, convenient, but empty? And most importantly, are we witnessing a step forward or a step backward? Do you believe that a service-dependent city can replace humans with machines and still retain its identity? What will happen to labor communities if automation continues to spread throughout the service sector? If you've ever witnessed something similar where you live or have experienced this change, please share in the comments section. Your experience can help many others understand the issue better. If you find this video helpful, or if it resonates with a part of your memories, experiences, or thoughts, don't forget to hit like and share to spread the discussion, and subscribe so you don't miss the next analyzers. This is how you help the channel continue to maintain deep and serious content like this. This video is not intended to judge, condemn, or assign blame to any individual or business. All information is compiled based on public reports, statements, and data from the transcripts we cite. The purpose of the video is to offer a multifaceted perspective on the changes happening in Las Vegas, allowing viewers to draw their own conclusions.